This is a brief introduction to the National Governors Association sector strategies information, and we will link to the full presentation on our website as well. What I want to cover here very quickly is just the way the NGA frames up the systems change that happens across our three big education, workforce development, and economic development systems. And essentially, the education system, as the NGA frames it, was very much a train and pray workforce development kind of mentality. In other words, get people through training, hope that it's the right training, and hope that they find a job. But when you involve your other partners, you can move to a career pathway model, and I'll show you the visual here, where they really show connecting the pieces of high school adult basic education to workforce training, certificates up through degrees, connecting the pieces of entering the workforce, connecting moving between jobs. So building that full spectrum of a career pathway as part of a new way of looking at education within workforce development. Economic development, the old model has been about business attraction, in other words, giving tax breaks to big firms to come. And again, working with your partners, you can move toward an industry cluster model where you have these large firms in your region that really anchor your economy, small businesses and other supports that are around that, markets, buyers, supply chain, infrastructure, all the things that come around industry clusters. So thinking about economic development in an industry cluster, mentality is the new systems change there. And for workforce development, the original workforce development mode was really labor exchange. It was, I need a job, here's a job, off you go. But the change, again, working together, is to put everybody into a sector partnership mentality. And a sector partnership mentality means that someone acts as a convener. And in the Minnesota Fast Track model, this convener has been the person who's the administrator for the grant, so it's probably you. And it's the convener's role is bringing together those industry partners, representatives from firms in a single industry, so that's not just one employer, but that's where you get your multiple employers in one industry, and then bringing back together all these strategic partners. And this is where you see education, this is where you see human services, community-based organizations, WIBs, economic development agencies. The industry partners really focus on the outcomes for employers. The strategic partners really focus on the outcomes for workers. And by putting all three of these changes together, you get what the NGA refers to as the big systems change model, where these strategic partners create a career pathway system based on industry needs. And this graphic makes it look like it starts with a sector partnership, but you can also look at it as, oh, it really starts with an industry cluster, or you could look at it and say it starts with a career pathway system. It doesn't matter where you start. If you can bring these partners to the table around this concept, it's just a very powerful strategy.